The Celtics might have won the league 16 years ago, but they had one of the most dominant championship runs in recent times. It really goes on to show how dominant they've been this season. And with the team projected to be largely unchanged next season, we might see the first back-to-back winners since the Warriors. Hey, and welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be discussing whether the Celtics can win back-to-back championships. I know some of you might agree or disagree right now, but stick around till the end of the video before making up your mind after you have all the facts. So, without further ado, let us begin. So before we talk about the Celtics this season and whether they'll win another championship next season, let us take a trip down memory lane to understand how teams have managed to win multiple championships, forging their dynasties that are still remembered to this day. Like, for example, no one's ever going to forget how dominant the 1986 Celtics were, or how dominant the 2012 Heat, the 2017 Warriors, or even better, the back-to-back three-peat Bulls were. These teams were amazing throughout multiple seasons, and no wonder are amongst the few that have won back-to-back championships. But this metric doesn't mean we haven't had other amazing teams that, despite having the talent and capability, weren't able to establish back-to-back rings or even a dynasty. Off the top of my head, the 1972 Lakers with Wilt Chamberlain or the 1983 76ers with Moses Malone and Julius Erving are excellent examples of this. Many thought they would go on to be very dominant, but for some reason they couldn't replicate the success of, let's say, the 1986 Celtics. I know you all must be wondering, why am I talking about these two different types of teams? Well, the current Celtics squad also lies somewhere between these two categories. Given their excellent squad depth, something we'll talk about shortly in detail, they can either go on to win back-to-back championships or fall short, because in all honesty, anything less than another championship would be a failure. Some of you might be laughing at that comment, but what you're all forgetting is the fact that this is the Celtics we're talking about. The most decorated franchise in NBA history. They deserve this respect. They deserve wins. And they've been trying to find their way back to glory since 2008. Now, they not only have gotten it, but the chance to rewrite history by starting another dynasty. I wouldn't be making these claims if I didn't have the facts, or in other words, their spectacular squad to back it up. For starters, I'm sure we already know how the key to their success has been the emergence of stars like Tatum and Jaylen Brown, who, while not averaging astronomical points per game, have consistently delivered in clutch performances throughout the playoffs. I mean, the mere fact that Tatum was averaging 26.9 points per game, 8.1 boards, and 4.1 assists, while Brown was averaging 23 points per game, 5.5 boards, and 3.6 games throughout the regular season just goes to show how the Celtics had two megastars on their rosters. That itself is a huge advantage. Normally, we see teams developing their squad around one star player, but the Celtics have found themselves with two, and that's not even the best part about them. Besides these two stars, this team's depth and cohesion have been evident, reminiscent of past greats who knew how to excel under pressure. Let us go through them all one by one. First of all, we have Derek White, who in all honesty is also a star. In my opinion, he's one of the best coachable players you could have on your team. The guy literally does everything. Moreover, did you know that only 5 players share the 97th percentile in estimated plus-minus? I mean, that's a crazy stat, and I'm sure you'll be thinking about players like Curry. Well, besides Curry, we have Booker, Tatum, Lillard, and you guessed it, Derek White. Goes on to show just how good he is. Next up, we got Porzingis, and we all know how amazing he can be. Despite being injured for so long this past season, he came back in the playoffs and was literally bullying the Mavericks. Just imagine what Boston could do if they had Kristaps healthy all season long. Next up, we have another all-around machine in Jrue Holiday. We all know his defense is amazing, but he also possesses crazy offensive skills, from scoring to passing to rebounding. No wonder he's been directly responsible for a lot of the Celtics' wins this season. The man never gives up. And lastly, for the Celtics squad's top tier, we have Al Horford. This man wept when the Celtics couldn't win the championship last season, but this season he was all smiles. He may not be the best in the league, but he can do everything, from scoring clutch threes to driving to the paint and scoring tough buckets. He's really one of those players you need in your corner and you can always count on. But almost every decent NBA team has a decent starting team. What makes the Celtics different is their crazy bench, which sometimes performs even better than the starting 5. No wonder they were so dominant this season. Players like Brissett, Tillman, Cornette, and even more prominently, Pritchard and Hauser have been immense for them this season. Pritchard and Hauser are especially amazing with their long-range threes. In my opinion, they can start for any other team in the NBA. This alone shows how good their squad is. Looking ahead, the question arises, can the Celtics maintain their championship swagger into the next season? Well, the answer to this question might get tricky. I mean, the Celtics can be the same dominant team they are now, and might even become even better since they will have Porzingis fit and healthy this time around. But a big factor in this is fitness, health, and of course, luck. You never know, injuries can destroy a season for any franchise. Like for example, imagine if either Brown or Tatum gets injured and misses games. The Celtics will be severely impacted. However, they will still win the ring if I'm being honest, given their talented bench, but you get the point. A couple of injuries and things might get interesting for the rest of the league. Speaking of other teams, another factor is how much the rest of the league improves the offseason. It's pretty obvious that the Celtics' path to potential back-to-back titles hinges on maintaining their competitive edge against rising Eastern Conference challengers. I mean, we have teams like the Knicks, Pacers, and Heat that are already pretty decent, and will be eager to strengthen their rosters to dethrone Boston. Moreover, we have teams like the Lakers and the Warriors that will look to bounce back and might even make bold trades. So don't think it'll be a walk in the park for the Celtics. They'll have to work extremely hard if they want to win back-to-back titles. I'm sure this pressure from contenders only fuels the Celtics to elevate their game further, emphasizing the importance of strategic roster moves and player development. I don't really think they need any small changes, but let's see if they make some moves. You never know, they might do something crazier like how the Warriors added Kevin Durant to their championship-winning roster, which helped them win back-to-back titles. I doubt anything like that's gonna happen, but we ain't opposing any crazy trade stories. Speaking of which, do subscribe if you want to hear about any breaking new developments in the NBA. In the end, I'd just like to say that you never know what's going to happen in the future. Despite being heavy favorites going into the upcoming seasons, the Boston Celtics' ability to sustain this momentum will determine whether they can carve out their place in the NBA's legendary teams. Winning back-to-back championships is no joke, and it's going to take a lot of effort. However, whether they achieve back-to-back championships or not, one thing's for sure. They're the big fish in the NBA right now, possibly one of the best since the Warriors. Guess we'll have to wait and watch to see how this next season pans out for them. That's a wrap, folks. I hope you liked the video. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss a new video from us. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.